Good afternoon. This is the advertised time and advertised place for the January 18th, 2024 Planning Board meeting. Please join me in standing for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have no public hearings tonight, so we're going to start right off with discussion items with Greg Berman for 740 Main Road Professional Office.
All right, thank you. For the record, Greg Bergman, Riverhead Planning Department. So this is just a very quick discussion on a request by the applicant to amend the approved lighting plan for the 740 Main Road Professional Office. As you'll recall, the board granted administrative site plan approval back in 2023 to convert the old North Fork Chocolate Building into a professional medical office. There was an approved lighting plan that showed a proposed lighting fixture on that plan. The applicant submitted a letter which was distributed to the planning board. They basically went to a supply house and there was an extreme back order on those, the approved lighting fixtures, as well as a significant cost. The applicant submitted a amended lighting plan that shows revised lighting fixtures. The proposed lighting fixtures do comply with the town's dark sky compliance, the exterior lighting code. So I do just have a quick resolution on to approve the amended plan. There is also one slight modification. If you'll notice, I drew in on the plans. The originally approved plan had an existing light fixture that was sort of floating in the parking lot in a little kind of dead space. So they're just proposing to move that lighting fixture behind the curb line. So the resolution before the board today would approve that amended location as well as the revised lighting fixture.
Gentlemen, any issues? No questions. Okay, moving right along. 1309 OCR Automobile Dealership with Greg Berman.
Yeah. All right, if you guys could just identify yourselves for the record.
Yes, I'm Christopher Kent from Farrell Fritz, attorney for the applicant.
Anthony Stankinelli from Nieces Engineering.
Greg Ugrin, representing the applicant.
All right, thank you. So this is a follow-up for a site plan application that's seeking to demolish 3 existing commercial buildings and redevelop a commercial site with a new approximately 18,000 square foot automobile dealership. As the board will recall, this is a site that is on the south side of Old Country Road. It has frontage on both County Route 58 as well as Osborne Avenue. It's presently improved with 3, it used to be used car dealerships, used truck dealerships there. When we last brought this application before the board, they were waiting on some variances from the Zoning Board of Appeals. The applicant did receive those variances by appeal number 2023-48 from the ZBA. Since that ZBA was granted, the applicant has performed some revisions to the plans. I did submit a letter from Chris Kent to the board detailing those changes. The long and short of it is there now, I believe it was previously going to be a Mazda dealership. It is now going to be the Chevy heavy-duty truck dealership. So they did some changes to the building. They actually shrunk the building slightly. They modified the building facade. The general layout of the site is still the same general site circulation. It's just slightly, revised for the elevations. The proposed site plan still complies with all of the variances that they received from the zoning board, so there's no need to amend any of those variances that they got. And as a result of the reconfiguration of the building and the use, they actually reduced the amount of required parking on the site. So whereas they previously needed, I believe it was 15 parking stall variants, I believe it's now just down to 1. But again, it is fully within the zoning, the variances that were granted. so there's no need to amend it. So I do have the revised elevations. They're gonna go back to the ARB at their meeting next week for their review and comment. But being that it is substantially the same site plan and they've received the variances, we are ready to move forward and schedule a public hearing on the application.
One question. They moved the driveway, moving the driveway. Does that in any way, shape, or form change the drainage issue that they had there with the drainage?
So
Remember,
they,
that's a little flood
On
spot.
Osborne.
Yeah, right on Osborne.
We did shift the curb cut on Osborne north a little bit.
Right.
So yeah,
It didn't significantly change anything, because I know we gotta take care of the drainage there. That's all taken care of. Okay. All right.
The shift was necessary to get to a wider place
Right.
on the site so that we could increase the turning areas and the access.
But they can be, what happens is, believe me, I know I have a building on West Main Street, you know, play with curb cuts, and then there's water intrusion. I'm dealing with it. Good, if you say it's good, all right.
This is a site that currently has no drainage on it. It's just a completely pervious site.
Okay,
No drainage structures. We're gonna be putting in drainage structures on site.
so they will need a SWIP for this. All their stormwater
Yeah,
will
right,
be managed
right,
on site.
yeah, yeah,
You know, when we get to the final drainage design, that will all need to be approved by the town engineer. But beyond that, again, being that it is substantially the same plan, we are ready to move forward and schedule a public hearing on the application.
Okay, I believe we have a resolution on for later, so
That's correct.
I have
Get
a
your vote
question
today.
about the driveways. This is gonna be getting tractor trailers in and out, delivering vehicles.
Yes.
Is 15 feet wide enough for a tractor trailer to make a swing into the parking lot without breaking up the curbs or the sidewalks,
so I can answer that
or
one.
going into oncoming traffic to make a turn?
Yep. Nobody will be coming into oncoming traffic. A full tractor trailer and a car transporter could maneuver into the site all around and back out, and they would go up to make a right on Osborne and be able to make a left onto 58 to go back onto the LIE. We also have an approved entrance and curb cut from the county, and it's per county spec. It's all mountable as well.
Yeah, I was just
this way, so if in case the truck does hit the curb, it will, should stay intact.
I'm just saying, because we have the sidewalks also, a lot of our shopping centers, you see the sidewalks are busted up, and for people in wheelchairs or carriages and things like that, it's really defeating the purpose of it if they're gonna get broken.
Understood, and, yep, we're meeting all the county specs, and the mountable curb should really help,
Okay.
if, in case they do hit.
Are there any tractor-trailer entrance and exits off of 58? Or is it all off of
No, the tractor trailer, a fire truck, they could all enter off of 58. It's wide enough, and they can maneuver around the building. And then, they would probably make the right in,
Right.
off, and then come around the building and exit out onto Osborne, make the right to go north, to get back on the LIE, make a left at the light. We do have truck, turning runs and fire truck runs, within the building.
I was gonna say, we did have a traffic impact study that was conducted on this, application, and it was reviewed by LK McLean Associates. As part of that traffic impact study, they did, as Anthony said, they did run the models for tractor trailer turning and, emergency vehicles, fire truck turning and navigation throughout the site.
And the access aisles have actually increased in size by the reconfiguration of the building.
gentlemen?
Is that on the west side? Are those individual parking lanes?
The east,
Or,
that's the east side. No, this is Old Country Road, this is the gas station, this is
So those angled parking stalls on the, if you're looking at the plan, Joe, are they on the right side of the plan?
Yeah.
So that, yeah, those are angled in parking stalls on the east side of the building.
But they're not for deliveries, are they?
No, those are for customers and employees.
Everybody good? Okay, we have a resolution on for later, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is the Maris Farm minor subdivision, once again with Greg Berman.
just identify yourself for the record.
Charles Cuddy, representing the Maris family.
All right, so this is a continued discussion of a minor subdivision application that was last before the planning board. I believe it was in March. When this was before the planning board last, it was a 4-lot minor subdivision. There's approximately 27 acres on the northwest corner of the intersection of Sound Avenue and Roanoke Avenue, the Maris Farm. The site is improved with the Maris Farm stand and a few agricultural structures. This property of the 27 acres, 22 acres of it is under county development rights program. So there are 22 acres which front on Sound at Roanoke, which will never be developed with any type of residential structures. Within that county development deed of development rights, they do have some rights to put up agricultural structures, including farm stands, which are there, and those are in prescribed areas on the plan. When they did the deed of development rights, they specifically carved out approximately 5 acres in the northeast corner that could be developed pursuant to zoning. When the plan was last before the board, lot number 3 on this current subdivision map was part of the farm lot. Eileen Powers, the previous planning board attorney, had sort of taken issue with that. So what they've done now is they've kept this as 4 residential lots up in the northeast corner, and the farm lot will be its own separate parcel. So technically, while it is 5 parcels, there is no potential for any development on that 5th lot, so we're not going to be treating it as a major subdivision, because there will ultimately only ever be 4 lots pursuant to zoning. The reason there was a bit of a break in this application from March up until now was the applicant, they require a extension of the Riverhead Water District. Right now, there is only water along Sound Avenue and to the north on Linda Lane. The applicant had a map and plan prepared by H2M, which is the Riverhead Water District's consulting engineers. They identified that the best method to serve the property with potable water is to perform an extension off of the Linda Lane main. So they will extend water from Linda Lane south to the site and then provide each of the new residences with potable water. So they will be served by town water. That will be the extension will be a separate application that the applicant will need to handle with the town board. So that's why it took a little bit of time before we could get a public hearing. We needed to identify the water supply. So that being said, we do have a resolution on to schedule a public hearing for this application.
A couple of those buildings, the metal frame and the greenhouse, are they going to remain?
Yes.
Yes,
That's on the development rights sold parcel, and those are in the prescribed areas for the deed of development rights.
And the farm committee told them they could have buildings at that point. But just so you know, the water issue will be before the town board probably within the next month. It's being scheduled now by Mr. Mancini. So we expect to get that approval, and then we can go on and finish up the map. But again, this is 22 acres that will remain completely in farmland.
Some of those grades on the lots pretty steep.
I believe we did get comments from Vinnie. We will likely, when those lots are developed, will likely require grading and drainage plans for each of those specific lots, because there are some
Yeah,
decent grades on each of those lots.
we know that.
So, and again, so there will be the access to the lots will be off of the common driveway. The common driveway is not going to be a town road.
Not a town road.
It's not designed to town highway standards. It will essentially be a private driveway over which there will be an easement to the benefit of all 4 residents.
Water district.
Water district, and for access and maintenance for all 4 owners within the subdivision. Early on, we did bring up with the planning board that Lot 1, even though it fronts on Roanoke, will only have access off of that common driveway. So that's where the access will be taken to all the 4 lots.
I didn't hear you. Did you say it's going to be serviced by the town? Are they going to dedicate?
It will not be. It is not a town highway.
Private road, okay.
Not designed to those standards. It will never be accepted into the highway. It's essentially a common, it's essentially
Yeah.
flag lots with a common access easement over it.
Greg, who picks up the cost of bringing down the water
That's
line?
that's fully borne by the applicant.
The Marises do. They've already seen the enormous cost, but they're aware.
So are they required to place a fire hydrant back there also?
Yes.
Yeah, and I believe that is detailed in the map.
That's part of it.
Yeah. So they are proposing a fire hydrant, sort of, it's down the driveway in front of Lot 4. So there will be a hydrant within that subdivision.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Very good.
Okay,
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
thank you,
Thank you, Mr. Cuddy.
thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to Anderson Acres, major subdivision with Greg Berman.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Very good.
My name is John Bennett. I'm a lawyer at Bennett Reed in Southampton. I'm co-counsel to Martin Finnegan, who gives his apologies. He had a family death in the family, so has to attend the services. But I was at the last work session meeting, so I'm up to speed. And I was able to, the town fortunately was able to see the staff report. Excuse me, so I read that, and I don't know what, obviously it's your agenda, what's typical, will you present that?
Yeah, I'm just gonna, I'll go over, I'll present the, application.
Oh, certainly, I'm sorry, Matt, sorry about that.
Yeah, you can bend it.
My apologies.
Larry, you gonna put them up on the screen?
Yeah, we'll get to that. We get 1, 2, and 3.
Greg, what is the yield on these?
We'll get to there. We'll get there. All right, so, what we have is the initial submission for a major subdivision application, a major residential subdivision application of a project site which comprises approximately 70 acres out in the hamlet of Laurel. The project site is comprised of 4 separate tax map numbers right now. There are 2 lots which front on Main Road. They're located on the north side of the Long Island Railroad tracks. And there are 2 parcels on the south side of the railroad tracks which front on Peconic Bay Boulevard. The property for the majority of it is zoned Residence B80, which is a minimum 80,000 square foot or 2-acre zoning district. And there is a small section of the project site along Peconic Bay Boulevard, which is RB40, which is a 40,000 square foot or a 1-acre building. Being that this is 4 separate parcels, it has historically, it was the Zaweski farm. Has historically always operated as one farm operation. So for the purposes of zoning and subdivision, we're going to look at the 4 parcels as one common site. So the applicant has given us 3 different maps. The first map that we have here is subdivision sketch plan 1. This map effectively serves as the yield map. You know what, Larry, can we go to the cameras in the sky, just because I feel like it's gonna be tough for them to unfold their plans. So if we can do that, I can sort of point out to where we're at. There we go, perfect. Yep, good, thank you. All right, so this is subdivision sketch 1, which, as I said, effectively would serve as a yield map. What it's done is this section right here is, you've got Main Road here, north of the Long Island Railroad tracks. This tract shows the 55-foot wide right-of-way that's required by town code, terminating in a cul-de-sac. It does show a stormwater management area of approximately 82,000 square feet. And this portion demonstrates a total of 10 lots that all meet the minimum 80,000 square foot dimensional requirements of the RB80 zoning district. So for yield purposes, I did speak with Vinnie Gaudiello, the planning board's consulting engineer. I didn't get a formal letter yet, but he did say that the yield map appears to be sufficient. So for yield purposes, this does appear to be accurate, that there would be a yield of approximately 10 lots on the north side. On the south side of the tracks, again, this is the section of the property where it's split zoned. There are a total of 25 residential lots. Again, you've got 6 lots down here at that meet the 40,000 square foot, and then you've got the remainder up here that meet the 80,000 square foot, and there is a stormwater recharge area, again, of approximately 2 acres. So for treating the overall project site as one project site, you have a residential yield of approximately 35 lots. So that would be considered the as-of-right development yield of the property. Again, just waiting on formal comments from the consulting engineer to formalize that before we have a resolution put forth. So once we establish the as-of-right yield of the subject property, we move on. The next step in the subdivision procedure are sketch plans. What the applicant has submitted, I'll go over each of these sketch plans and sort of describe.
Can we just stay on the yield map for a minute?
Yes.
I was just wondering, on the recharge basin, is that going to be for the whole system or just for the middle section?
So each section, for the purposes of yield, they sort of separated them by the railroad track. So the recharge basin on the north side, and again, this is not what they're building. This is just demonstrating that they have the land yield for yield purposes. Again, Vinnie said that those recharge basins appeared to be appropriately sized based on that yield map. But again, this is not what is being constructed. But those stormwater recharge
I was
areas.
just wondering if they would have be going across the railroad tracks.
No.
Yeah, no. So we're not.
Then
As we move
then
towards.
the south side will be recharge basins.
Yeah, so as I explain the sketch plans, there is not going to be any crossing of the railroad tracks by any type of residential development. But I'll get into that as I explain these sketch plans. But just are we clear? I just want to make sure we're clear on the 35 lot yield that does comply with the town code's requirements. And then the plans will evolve and we'll go from there. So now what we've got is sketch plan 2. Larry, if we can get the sky camera again. Oh, all right, sorry. So this is what's called sketch plan 2, which town code requires the applicant to provide alternative sketch plans. Again, because clustering is required in the Residence B80 zoning district, the goal of clustering is to preserve a minimum of 70% of the project site for open space or agricultural production. Sketch plan 2, it has the north of the railroad tracks shown as open space, and then it has a small area of open space on the south side of the tracks. This map only serves to preserve 39% based on these calculations, and that's sort of even questionable. This map could not, the town code says that the absolute minimum preservation is 50%, and the board would have to make a reasoned finding for going below 70. So there would be no way that you as a board could even approve this 30.
Would there be agricultural work on the north side?
I believe the intent is to keep the agricultural production. I mean, that's the purpose and the intent of the clustering. So yes, what's labeled as open space, and we would get into that as we move forward in the subdivision process. But yes, the purpose and intent is to preserve the land for agricultural production. So I will say subdivision sketch plan 2 fails to meet the requirements of the code, so you could even consider this. So the applicant will need to redesign. And then we move on to sketch plan 3. So sketch plan 3, what they've done is on the north side of the railroad tracks. Now there are 2 existing single-family residences along Main Road. each of those residences, and there's some agricultural structures, including barns, detached garages. Those are shown as their own individual lots. There's approximately 15.6 acres of what's labeled as open space on the north side of the tracks, which again would be the area for agricultural production. And then as we move to the south side of the tracks, there's a 26.1 acre open space area, which again would be for agricultural production. Now, it does have the bulk of the open space in proximity to the tracks, and then there's a approximately 240-foot wide stretch of open space that traverses the west side of the property as you come down to Peconic Bay Boulevard, shows a recharge basin, and then shows a small area of open space down near the southeast corner. So this plan is a little bit better in terms of preservation. This plan currently shows 61.5%. Now, again, while the goal for clustering is a minimum of 70, the board does have some discretion, can go down to an absolute minimum of 50. When you look at the code and the purpose is to preserve the agricultural soils, I would just be hard-pressed to come up with some type of reason or justification why we would go below that 70% goal, being that this land is either actively farmed or was very recently farmed.
I agree with you. I think we should try to keep it at 70%. I don't know how you board members feel.
All right.
There's no reason that we should go, no logical reason to go less than 70.
So just a couple of conceptual, discussion points on the general idea of the subdivision. I believe, being that we are treating the 4 parcels as one cohesive project site, I do believe it is important to keep the residential development off of the main road side. As you're going through Jamesport and Laurel, it is very rural, open agricultural space. So I do think it is important to keep the residential development off that side, keep it as is. So it does make sense, just from a zoning and planning perspective, to cluster the new residential development down on the south side along Peconic Bay Boulevard. Peconic Bay Boulevard right now is a more residential area. There are agricultural vistas, there are farms down there, but it is by far has more residential character than Main Road does. So generally, the concept for sketch 3 is okay. I think what the applicant would need to do, shrink this down, shrink the actual development footprint down to get to that 70%. And then I think that could serve as a viable sketch for the board to consider. I did just take a couple of pictures, and I do want to, the purpose of this is to give the applicant some feedback as to how they're going to redesign sketch plan 2. So Larry, can we zoom in on these pictures, please? Thank you. All right, so I went out and took a drive past the site. This vantage point right here was taken from Peconic Bay Boulevard. I was standing east of the project site looking to the west. So this batch of trees here, there are some wetlands up in this area. So the vantage point as you're standing on Peconic Bay Boulevard, as you're driving west, you don't really get the view of the farm field. It's obscured by trees, wetland vegetation, and then there's a row of large arborvitaes along here. So you don't really get that scenic vista as you're traveling westbound on Peconic Bay Boulevard. This picture was taken basically looking to the north, across the farm field from Peconic Bay Boulevard. So that's where you get that big expansive scenic vista. And then this picture was taken on Peconic Bay Boulevard, standing to the west of the site looking east. So that being said, when you look at sketch plan 3 here, the intent, and I can understand the intent to keep the open space vista here, so that way as you're driving along, you still do get some of that farm view. As you're looking north on the site, you do retain some of the farm view. That being said, I did have a conversation with Mr. Zelnicki about just the viability of the soils and just the general layout of the site. What I did in my mind, I kind of thought might make sense to have it when they come in for a redesign. rather than just a straight shot here, if they could come in with a redesigned sketch plan that sort of has like a neighborhood that has a loop to it, what that would do is that would serve to push the development closer to Peconic Bay Boulevard, which, as Mr. Zilnicki said, as you get closer to Peconic Bay Boulevard, the quality of the soils isn't really as good as it is on the northern parts of the farm. So it would allow the board to sort of retain a more contiguous block of farmland going from Main Road to the northern limits of the project site. It could also, if there was a loop here, you might only have 5 or 6 houses along the northern end of the development, so you might minimize any type of conflicts between residents and agricultural activities. That being said, I wanted to get the board's feel for what you think about sketch plan 3, and if you have any suggestions for a revised sketch plan 2.
Greg, how much farmland is to the west of where the house is? That one strip?
So this entire, the western property boundary is about 3,000 feet from the train tracks to Peconic Bay Boulevard, and it's about 240 feet wide.
All right, so if you move that north and move the housing closer south, I think that would be a better idea. You know, take that and bring,
So like, in other words, so like if you were to like sort of, if this was gonna be the limit of
Right.
the development, come in this way and sort of have and again, I'm not saying it hard and fast, but that way you'd be able to keep this block contiguous farmland. Does that make more sense, you know? And again, I understand the planning board's responsibility here is to try to balance the preservation. I do understand that there are scenic vistas along Peconic Bay Boulevard. That being said, there are subdivisions. I mean, the High Meadow Lane subdivision just to the west of this property, you know, when you drive by it, that subdivision is pretty well screened. I mean, you don't really see that. So there could be a revised plan where it's clustered closer to Peconic Bay Boulevard. They include a, you know, planting scenic buffer along the south side, which would help screen the residential development. It's really a matter of, is this a revised sketch?
No, if I may, but I don't want to comment when I should be waiting, but I could comment now. Having done this for years, one of the things that you have, obviously, agricultural open space, does two things. It provides for the preservation of actual active agriculture, but I don't think anyone's kidding anybody, that part of it also is to maintain sense of place and open space vistas. So when we were last before the board, this sketch plan, I don't know if you can see this, sort of looked, the lots were indeed clustered down towards Peconic Bay. Yeah, sure. And excuse my very crude attempt to draw what I heard from the staff at the meeting. Thank God I never went into any sort of design. But the whole idea is, as Greg said, this area, approaching from this area, it's wooded. You don't get any opportunities for vista, but the whole idea, we had lots down here, and we shifted them here for the very purpose of being able to have that very lovely continuous vista down, looking from Peconic Bay to Main Road. So we have, I think we have some competing goals here. I think, I know that this is sort of a back of the envelope line. That's a fairly significantly different, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, you have 15 lots.
I mean, again,
Okay, I mean, that's the back of the envelope.
I wasn't scaling anything out. This is,
Okay.
now this map actually, I mean, we've never seen this before, this.
No, this map was at a discussion.
We've never, I mean, at least since my tenure, we've never discussed this application with the board.
Greg,
so-
we discussed this, maybe not with the board, but with the staff, you were there, because the whole idea was, the indication was to try to get these lots elongated. I didn't dream this up. I don't have enough design expertise to know. But there was discussion with the staff, and the whole idea was to create a view shed corridor through here, which is why we went through this redesign. I'm not suggesting that, I'll take you at your word, you hadn't seen it, but I know I was at a planning board discussion about it. Forgive me, it was last year. And these are my notes from the, and it made a lot of sense to me because you have the goal of trying to maintain an open space vista. But I think what we can do is look at Greg's report, take some of the board's comments, and try to juggle and come back and try to make those two goals. I think we're probably gonna try to push a little bit to try to keep some in a contiguous open space ban, because I do think that makes sense. I mean, I can understand, you know, you have a wetlands area here, we've been very close, we've been very sure to maintain the setbacks, so soils do get sort of punky when you're in a wetlands area, but you do get away from that. So let's take a look at I'll have the team take a look at the site. Very appreciative of all the board's comments and Greg's comments, and see if we can come back to something. The other thing I think I did want to mention, though, is this is about 8 acres here, 33 and 34, it eats up a lot. So I just wanted to make sure that I understood your comment. While a development area could be reserved for farm structures, residential structures must be retained. That's assuming they were going to be retained.
That was on sketch plan too, where
okay.
the entirety of the northern piece was
Right.
all, it was shown as open space.
Okay.
So,
But presumably, if these were removed, they would all count towards open space, the residential structures.
Correct.
So I think there may be some, my direction to the surveyor and the design folks would be, look at tightening this up. There may be something we can allow from Peter to pay Paul down here. I don't know that these lots, since they're gonna be married to open space in any event, need to be, the residential part of them needs to be that large.
Just get them up to 70% also, please.
We're gonna try to do that.
I mean, so just this plan right here, the board, Larry, can we zoom in a little more on this, just so they can see in a little greater detail what that cluster looks like?
Excuse me, I've sort of
No, that's all right.
stepped on it.
And I did not mean to indicate Mr. Bennett was not being
I don't-
truthful.
I don't
If
think
this
you were.
were, you just, all right, so this would have a roadway coming here with 2 separate roads coming off.
I mean, it's shorter roads,
Yeah.
you know, maybe this is the way
I
to
mean-
go. I mean, I thought the idea was to try to, I mean, just having driven down there today, the whole idea was to try to keep that straight shot of a vista.
I think if something like this could get to a again, I don't know exactly what the
no.
preservation, but if this can get to a 70%, I think that could be one viable sketch plan. And then I think, again, this plan right here, if this was just sort of reduced and got us to 70%, keeping that view shed, I think that would give the board some, you know, real meat to.
I just wanted
chew on.
to add too, is one of the things that we were looking at was, hi, how are you? The road's really a straight shot, and if you look at, there's a subdivision up off Herrick's called Bay Run, it has a little meander to it, not a lot, but when you drive down the road, it doesn't look like,
The highway.
You're in
yeah,
the city.
exactly, so that's all where we're like trying to get at, I think.
This reminds me of Lebanon.
It's the
Yeah,
wider
either
site,
one or-
though, isn't
Either
it?
one or the other.
That's just to the,
Better than-
that's just to the west of here, isn't it? That's a wider site.
What's that? High Meadow is, High Meadow is
Much
much,
wider
much
site.
wider. This site's only about 690, maybe about 700 feet wide. So it does not necessarily lend itself to the High Meadow Lane configuration.
Greg, the only thing that, what I was saying, instead of this open space, if we moved the.
Which
buil-
one are you talking
To the
about?
west of the,
This, all right, so
Right,
this
right.
tract up here?
right, if you kept that all for farming, because no one's gonna farm that strip. It's just not conducive to farming.
Okay.
If you move it up, bring the building lots down to take over that area and keep farming to the north.
So more along the lines of this,
Of that, right.
yeah, okay, that's extremely helpful, because that's the way that we originally drew it.
I agree, I agree with Ken.
Yeah. Yeah, again, that was drawing a line.
That's very, very, very helpful, very, very helpful. And again, the reason we elongated is, I don't know, maybe I read the cards wrong, I thought that was the direction, but this is fine, because this is,
Still
what I'm
ink
hearing
on
is sort of
paper.
similar to what the engineer and the surveyor eventually drew, so that's helpful.
Now, then you could do your extra.
And it's probably a tighter subdivision, probably less roads, probably less drainage.
Yeah. Win-win.
Yeah, and I understand, I mean, you know, it's,
You're trying to balance the,
Yeah.
all interests. You're trying to preserve the vista as much as you can, if that's, you know.
right. We did have some lots on to achieve this, we had some lots right on Peconic Bay Avenue, though. So it sounds to me like that's not necessarily viable farm, not, of course it's viable, I don't know what the, what type of agricultural soils it is, but in terms of the more productive farmland, it's clearly to the north, so.
Craig, one other question.
Does the board, if I may, does the board have any concern about, one of the reasons we were able to do this is 2 loop roads, 2 cul-de-sacs, we had some lots down right on Peconic Bay Avenue. I mean, we certainly put buffers there, but.
Yeah, so so he's referring to these lots along Peconic Bay Boulevard. I mean, there could be a planting buffer required along here to sort of help screen that.
Clearly, I mean, that's good.
Do they intend to dedicate the
sorry.
roads?
They would be designed to town specifications, so they could.
What's public water like?
So it is located within a water district extension. They have not engaged with the water district yet. Before they do that, they really need to understand how the subdivision is going to be laid out before they can go and get a map and plan done.
You might know this, any guess of how close the nearest main is?
There is a main on Peconic Bay Boulevard.
Oh, so it could jack it under the, maybe, okay.
Yeah, again, I just don't know what it will take, I don't know anything about pressure, anything like that, so that's something to consult, but I think what we have, I think again, if the,
I think the water authorities and the health department are gonna want water here.
so if sketch 3 was if they reduced the footprint of the development, got it to 70, I think that's a viable option for the board to consider.
Because when you tighten everything up, or get closer to 70%, the lots are gonna start to come under 20,000.
I mean, they're gonna, they probably would get down
Yeah.
under 20,000, but I mean, again, that's still a half-acre lot. I mean, that's still a pretty decent-sized piece of property.
Greg, on a large subdivision like this, are they required to do any affordable housing?
So the Workforce Housing Act would come into play. The Long Island Workforce Housing Act, the way it's written in our code, is based off your yield map. So if we accept that 35-lot yield map, the way the code's written, if the developer comes in with a reduced yield, so for example, if they came in with a 34-lot subdivision,
One lot, yeah.
they are basically out, they do not have to provide workforce housing on site.
That's the way
If-
they wrote it. I know it seems.
And that's the way the state law was written too.
Just one?
Reduced yield is reduced yield, but they don't have any definition, so it's one lot.
That said, if they came in and did a full build out, they would get a 10% density bonus. That could either be the way our code's written, could either be provided on site, it could be provided off site, or a payment in lieu of.
Okay.
But we would get to addressing the Workforce Housing Act once we approve a yield and get to a sketch plan. So for the board, to give the applicant, I think we do have 2 plans that the board could consider, as long as we get to the 70%, and then the board just really has to, weigh the.
This project is as of right. There's no
Correct.
variances required for.
No variances, it's all
Outside.
just based on as of right. It is a residential zone. It is an agricultural production, but it is a residence zone, so.
Anything else, guys?
Is there any information that the board would?
I'm sorry?
Any information or anything that I could give the board that is?
No, I think we're gonna
Any questions?
wait for
Okay,
your,
Great.
So I think something like this.
You're gonna go on the south side, you got that R40.
Well, yeah, so, the split zone, and they did take that into account on the yield map. As you recall, the 6 lots that front along Peconic Bay Boulevard were at the 40,000 square feet. So I think the direction would be something like this with a buffer. Again, very important for both maps, 70% preservation. And then I think the board can then select its preferred map.
Okay, let's see what comes in.
Okay, great.
thank
Thanks
you.
a lot. Thanks for,
Sounds good.
nice seeing you all.
All right, at this time, we'll take public comments on resolutions.
Sure. By the way, the resolutions, well, are they wrong? The first resolution I got was the 005 and 006.
The agenda is correct, I do apologize. So the agenda is correct. Resolution 2024-006 is the resolution
The
of 7,
resolution,
correct, the agenda is correct.
Okay, no public comments, let's move forward with the resolutions.
All right, I'll move Resolution 2024-005 for 740 Main Road Professional as an amendment to the previously approved lighting plan. So moved.
Second.
All right, moved in second, let's go to a vote. Mr. Zilnicki?
Yes.
Mr. Hogan?
Yes.
Mr. Nenaro?
Aye.
Mr. Bear?
Yes.
And I vote aye, the motion passes.
I'll move 2024-006, 1309.
007,
OCR.
sorry.
7.
I'm
07.
sorry.
Yeah, we're going off the agenda.
Oh,
007.
Mine says 6, too.
mine says 6.
The agenda?
Yeah.
Yes,
Says six.
mine says 6.
I got lucky. I got
Yeah, you
seven.
got the good one.
What did yours say?
6, 6, 7,
Yeah,
8,
mine says 6, too.
6, 7, 8.
Oh.
6, 7, 8.
Okay. Okay. So I'll move 2024-007.
I'll second it.
Okay, we've got a motion in?
By the way, let me finish
Yeah,
it.
discussion. Go ahead, Joe.
We're gonna, it's to schedule a public hearing for a site plan application. So moved.
Second.
Did you have discussion, Joe?
Yeah. I just wanted to know on resolution 007, has there been a sequel?
Yes, we did, we wrapped Secra up, I believe, in November. Either October or
Same question,
November. I know,
Todd.
the reason I know that is because the ZBA would not have been able to act.
Right.
Yes, we did.
How about, and the same thing with 8?
Yeah, Maris Farm is a type 2, there's no secret involved, it's a type 2 action.
All right, so resolution 7 has been moved and seconded. Let's go to a vote. Mr. Zilnicki?
Yes.
Mr. Hogan?
Yes.
Mr. Nenaro?
Aye.
Mr. Bear?
Yes.
And I vote aye. The motion carries.
I'll move resolution number 2024-008, scheduling public hearing for the existing 2-lot subdivision. 4-lot subdivision.
Second?
Moved and seconded. May we have a vote, please? Mr. Zilnicki?
Yes.
Mr. Hogan?
Yes.
Mr. Nenaro?
Aye.
Mr. Bear?
Yes.
And I vote aye. The motion carries. At this time, we'd like to open it up for public comment on any matter. All right, can we get somebody to move the minutes to December 21st?
I'll move the minutes of December 21st,
Second.
2023.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. May we have a vote? Mr. Zilnicki?
Yes.
Mr. Hogan?
Yes.
Mr. Nenaro?
Aye. Aye.
Mr. Bear?
Yes.
And I vote aye. The vote carries. Any other business?
2004? 2004. The meeting,
What is it?
2004.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. Okay, no other business? Any discussion items, gentlemen?
No.
We have a motion to close.
Motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Our next meeting is February 1st at 6 o'clock. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
So you can get these.
Yeah, I did get it. I saw where I called the chairwoman.